I hear the train a-comin'. It's coming round the bend. Don't even have to finish the lyrics, and so many of you can identify with the song that immortalizes the state penitentiary that's behind me. Some lessons on courage and compassion from Folsom State Prison here on the Reinvention Chronicles. So just outside the museum here at Folsom State Prison, where there's an awful lot of Johnny Cash memorabilia on sale, let's set the scene for the story this way. Johnny Cash was serving in the Air Force in Germany when he wrote the song in 1953. He and a bunch of his Air Force buddies were watching a movie. It was called Inside the Walls of Folsom Prison. And Johnny was so inspired, he sat down and penned the lyrics, and he was trying to think up what is the worst reason anyone would ever have for killing another human being. And that's when the lines spilled from the pen onto the paper. I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. In 1955, Johnny Cash and the Tennessee Two head to Memphis and record the single with Sam Phillips and Sun Records, and it becomes a hit. And then Johnny's career takes off, and then it plateaus. And in 1968, as a way to revive a struggling career, Johnny Cash comes to the proverbial scene of the crime, Folsom State Prison. It was January of 1968, January 13th. He had a meeting with Governor Ronald Reagan, who was the governor of California at the time, and then went in to the mess hall, which is located behind the walls over that way, and in front of about 1,000 inmates recorded the live album that has become recognized as one of the great live albums of all time, regardless of genre. It was a huge crossover hit. It put Johnny Cash and his career back on the map, but it also plants the seeds for yet another story that we want to explore here outside the walls of Folsom State Prison. If he were alive today and standing right here, Johnny Cash would be the first to tell you he was no angel. He struggled with heroin addiction, battled the bottle, and he was in and out of jail more than a few times with different petty offenses and misdemeanors. So the man in black always had a soft spot for people doing hard time like they were doing back in Folsom Prison in 1968. But the historical context of his visit here to record that live album, let's think about this for a moment. At the time, America was bitterly divided by the Vietnam War. Fear, doubt, anxiety was just so omnipotent everywhere you turned. And so here's Johnny Cash coming into a place, let's face it, populated by hardened criminals. We are talking about serial killers, rapists, axe murderers, some of the people that no one in society wants anything to do with. And yet, Johnny Cash comes here not just to entertain, but to serve. And to serve in a way that demonstrates both courage and compassion. The courage to come in here and the compassion to somehow, despite all of the terrible things that these individuals, these inmates represented, somehow Johnny Cash still found compassion for his common man. Courage and compassion, when you really think about it, they do kind of walk hand in hand along the road to reinvention. And impossible to have one without the other. And Johnny Cash displayed that, and I think that's the enduring legacy of Folsom Prison Blues. The courage and compassion to recognize that you can't feel any fear, doubt, anxiety, or all the other things that are going on today if somewhere in your heart you're feeling things like gratitude, humility, and just a sense of caring for the well-being of another human being. There's more than 3,000 inmates incarcerated here at Folsom State Prison, but when you think about it, you don't have to look very far to see other people in your everyday life also in prisons of their own making, incarcerated, if you will, by things like everything from bad relationships to boring cities, feeling trapped by crappy jobs or cramped apartments, or feeling absolutely barricaded by the ravages of disease, addiction, or the guilt over past decisions that people are still living with. And so the point of this is that Johnny Cash, I think, demonstrated how anyone, you, me, anyone, can really help themselves by reaching out and using courage and compassion to touch someone else much less fortunate, no matter what their circumstances. In other words, you just cannot feel fear, doubt, anxiety, which is so prevalent today, if you're also feeling things like gratitude, humility, and a sense of caring for one's fellow man. Some thoughts to help you recreate and reimaginate the business, the life, the career that you deserve.